stool. So Lea DeLaria stole all my lines, but thank you. Exactly 17 years ago today, April 30th, 2001, I left my job at Lambda Legal to found Freedom to Marry. That April 30th was the culmination not just of 12 years on Lambda staff, but of 17 years as part of the Lambda team, beginning in 1984 as a young pro bono cooperating attorney, and then joining Lambda full-time in 1989. I left my Lambda job in 2001, but never left the Lambda team. And like all of you, have remained and will always be a proud and grateful part of the Lambda family. "34 years is a lot of memories. So many cherished friends and admired colleagues, fierce battles, including, to be honest, a few internal ones, painful losses, frustrating difficulties, thrilling victories, immense gratification. And ordinarily, I would like to spend my time tonight reminiscing about all of that, thanking the many wonderful people that Lambda brought into my life, and expressing my gratitude for the joy of making a difference, including, of course, bringing the freedom to marry to millions. Ordinarily, I would like to name names, those I worked with and those we've lost, and give special tribute to my family, my friends, and my beloved husband, Chum. I'm a very lucky man. But of course, give a hand for Chum. It's a special person to put up with me. But of course, these are not ordinary times. Our country, indeed liberal democracy worldwide, confronts an existential threat. And so tonight instead, I want to talk about what must be done. Now, in conversations about the state of our union today, it's hard not to feel, as my favorite comedian Tom Lehrer put it, like a resident of Pompeii who's been asked for some humorous remarks about lava. Given the opportunity to speak with you here, my thoughts immediately turn to another existential crisis in American history, the Civil War, and in particular, to the letter a lawyer wrote to his spouse after volunteering for the Union cause. Sullivan Ballou wrote, "I have no misgivings about or lack of confidence in the cause in which I am engaged. I know how strongly American civilization now leans upon the triumph of the government, and how great a debt we owe to those who went before us. And I am willing, perfectly willing, to lay down all my joys in this life to help maintain this government and to pay that debt. Sarah," he said, "my love for you is deathless. It seems to bind me to you with mighty cables that nothing but omnipotence could break. And yet, my love of country comes over me like a strong wind and bears me irresistibly on with all those chains to the battlefield." Sullivan Ballou's letter, written, as it turns out, a week before he died in battle, is a haunting exaltation of the bonds and joys of love and, yes, marriage, the very treasures that that American lawyer, like so many others, was called and was willing to risk when summoned by history to defend freedom, democracy, and the republic itself. By the time war broke out, Sullivan Ballou had already contributed and made a mark. He had a thriving law practice. He had been elected to the Rhode Island House of Representatives, where he eventually served as Speaker. And of course, he was happily married with 2 young children. But still, he answered the call. We too are called to action. Yes, we have won the freedom to marry nationwide, and though there is still much, much more to do, we have transformed the place of gay and transgender people in our country. Yes, With our continuing contributions and engagement, Lambda Legal and others are now harnessing the momentum we built and the supporters we enlisted to the ongoing work, guarding our gains and paving new ground, defending and advancing lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people, our rights, our needs, our dignity, and our pursuit of happiness. But it is not just for the memories and the progress that I'm proud to be a part of the Lambda family. It is not even just because there is so much in the LGBT cause that is still urgent and still unfinished. I support and remain proud of Lambda because Lambda, like other pillar organizations in our movement, has risen to the moment and the larger call. I'm so proud that Lambda and our movement have stood in solidarity with immigrants, with women, with people of color, with Muslims and Jews, with people who are ill, people who are poor, people who are struggling. Lambda and our movement are doing this not just because we are part of overlapping communities, but because, as Franklin Roosevelt exhorted Americans... Franklin didn't sound like that. Or that. As Franklin Roosevelt exhorted Americans at yet another time of existential threats, quote, "We are a nation of many nationalities, many races, many religions, bound together by a single unity, the unity of freedom and equality. Whoever," FDR said, "seeks to set one nationality against another, seeks to degrade all nationalities. Whoever seeks to set one race against another, seeks to enslave all races. Whoever seeks to set religions against another, seeks to destroy all religion. No democracy can long survive," warned FDR, "which does not accept as fundamental to its very existence the recognition of the rights of minorities." One of the happy consequences of success is that people want to know how you did it. Since winding down freedom to marry, I now spend the bulk of my time responding to requests for advice and assistance from diverse other organizations, other causes, other countries, eager for inspiration and instruction, the lessons our campaign offers on how to win. I most recently returned from Japan, one of several countries where I am working with local activists. In every speech, 22 events in 4 cities over 6 days, I quoted from the Japanese Constitution, which, written with American involvement following World War II, makes explicit an obligation that is true for our Constitution as well. The freedoms and rights guaranteed to the people by this Constitution, it says, shall be maintained by the constant endeavor of the people. The work of Lambda Legal is the work of our movement, but it is also the work of we the people, called now to do more, not just for ourselves, not just for our movement, but for the many communities and values under assault, not just for ourselves, but for our country, and for human rights and democracy and freedom around the world. This is a moment when history summons us, and we in this organization, this LGBT movement, we who have shown how it is possible to build community and power and bridges, we who have shown how it is possible to persist despite discrimination and even death, have shown it's possible to overcome oppression and exclusion and transform hearts and minds and the law, we now, once again, more than ever, must answer the call. So what in this moment are we called to do? We are called to defend, reteach, reinvigorate, and live up to America's promise. We are called to redouble our contributions, our conversations, our civic engagement. We are called to litigate and lobby. We are called to register and turn out voters. We are called to work to persuade the older, and empower the younger. We are called to resist and reclaim power. We are called to take back Congress. Let me say it again. We must take back Congress. We must take back Congress and state legislatures and the White House and get our country back on track. Now, no one of us, no one organization can do it all, but each can do something, and we can all do more. If I do my part, you do your part. Together we help Lambda Legal continue doing its part, and through constant endeavor, we do what is needed. The history of America, indeed the history of our movement, the history of our lifetimes tell us that together we can meet the moment. In that spirit, looking back on memories and friendships and loss and triumph, and looking forward to what we must do now for our community, our cause, and our country, I'm honored to accept this Lambda Liberty Award and to join with you yet again in answering this moment's call to action.
And now, please enjoy your day. Tonight's program will resume in just a few minutes.